To art. Probably the reason that you're doing this with me today is because I'm absent, and so that you have a substitute. So if you have a substitute and you're doing this, make sure you're listening to that person and doing whatever they direct you to do. But for this project, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating what's called a landscape, and a landscape is a drawing, it's a picture of something that's outside. So we're going to be doing a forest. And the reason why I decided to do a forest is because we are tigers, and that's where tigers live, is in forests. So I kind of want to have some school pride. You can decide to draw a tiger in this project if you would like. So what we're going to do first, well, first of all, what you're going to need is a piece of paper, and you're going to need something to draw with, and then something to color with. I've got crayons, and I've got a pencil. So that's what I'm going to be using. Okay, as we're drawing this, first of all, you're going to write your name somewhere. I'm going to write it right here. Okay, write your name. You can write it on the back if you want. And then after you've done that, we have to decide where we want a horizon line. And a horizon line is the line in any picture of outside where you see the sky and the earth meet. So it's kind of like that line. I don't know if you've ever stood on a beach and looked at the ocean, but you see like this line where the sky meets the ocean, and that's called a horizon line. So we're going to just decide where we want to put that horizon line. I'm going to just put it right here because I'm kind of focusing on the tall trees and different things like that. So I want to have a lot of space to draw those trees up here. Okay. There's going to be a few expectations for this landscape drawing, and one is going to be that you're going to have at least 10 trees because it's a forest. You can have more than 10, but you need to have at least 10. Another expectation is that you're going to need to draw let's see, animals and plant life in it, obviously plant life. So let me see here. Let me just make sure that I am being accurate in what I expect, because I wrote these down. Just bear with me here. Where did I put it? Well, you know, I'm just going to try and list these off. So you need to have at least 10 trees. You need to show you need to show the different layers of the forest. So there's like the top layer where all of the fruits and vegetables, well, not vegetables, but fruits grow, and they usually grow at the top. And then in the middle, I want to see at least 2 or 3 different birds. And then at the bottom, yeah, this was the expectation. So at the bottom, I need to see at least one of those big animals that lives there. And you need to choose what type of forest it is. So if it's temperate or tropical, and we learned about what those two things were in the previous video. So temperate is like a colder forest, and then tropical is a warm forest. So in temperate, you're going to see kind of trees like conifer trees, which kind of look like the triangles. You might also see deciduous trees, which kind of look more like a circle. And then in tropical forests, you're going to see mostly those deciduous type trees, so the ones that look like a circle. So you're going to decide what type of forest you want to draw, what kind of trees you want to draw, and if you want to do a mixture of those trees, that's awesome too. And if you want to just take a look at this here, conifer trees look like this, deciduous trees look like this, and then you could do a mixture, but just keep in mind that if it's a mixture, conifer trees don't really grow in tropical climates as much, so if you're going to do a mixture, it's going to probably need to be temperate. So there's different animals that live in these different forests. Conifers, you might see animals such as bears and tigers, but actually tigers kind of grow in both, or kind of live in both. So you're going to decide what kinds of animals you'll see at the bottom layer, and those are those 3 layers. Okay, so I want to see at least 10 trees. I want to see fruits that grow at the top, at least 2 or 3 birds, and then a a big animal that lives on the bottom, okay? So I'm going to decide what type of forest I want to have, and I'm kind of leaning towards temperate, so the colder forest, and I'm going to draw those types of trees. So I'm going to decide to actually just draw some conifer trees. So what I'm going to do first to draw a tree, and I hope you're watching if you don't know how to draw a tree, is first of all, I'm going to draw a trunk. And the tree trunk needs to live below the horizon line, because if it lives above the horizon line, that means it's growing somewhere in the middle of the air. So it needs to be on the bottom of the horizon line, on the bottom side of it. And so here's my tree trunk. Its bottom is right here underneath the horizon line. And now I'm going to decide how far up or how far down I want my conifer tree or my needles or the triangle to be. So I'm going to draw maybe a triangle about right here, and that's how big my tree is. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and erase this. Okay, and there's one of my conifer trees. I'm going to, you're going to want to decide where to put these trees. Maybe some of your trees are going to appear to be smaller because they're farther away. So remember, the trunk has to be below the horizon line. And here's another one. Okay? The thing about landscapes, though, is these trees probably are around the same height, but this one looks smaller because it's farther away. Okay? So there's 2 trees. I'm not done until I at least have 10. And I don't know if I'll completely finish drawing all 10 of those trees or more trees in this video, but I will finish it in the time-lapse video. So stay tuned for that if you need some ideas. Okay, I'm going to draw a big tree right here. So it's going to live right here. Here's the bottom of my tree, of the tree trunk. And then I'm going to draw a giant cone or triangle. And here's that tree. Okay, so I've got 3 trees. This one looks like it's huge, but it's probably around the same size. Just keep that in mind, that when you look at something farther away, it just looks smaller. Okay, so there's 3 trees. I'm going to draw one more, and then I'll move on to other expectations that I expect to see in your pictures. So I'll just draw one more about right here. And maybe it's like right here. Okay. And this one's in front, so there's nothing that you see in front of it. You don't see these little trees overlapping. Okay. If this overlaps, that would mean this one would be in front of it. But you wouldn't see this big of a tree with this one in front of it. So what I'm going to do is make sure that this whole shape is empty. I don't want to see any lines overlapping. Otherwise it doesn't make sense. So I've got my trunk, my shape. And if you want to make it look really a whole lot like a tree, you could also draw lines inside of it. Okay, I'm going to do that on all of them. I think I like that kind of stylized look. And it's great because this is kind of like the world that you're creating, so you can draw whatever type tree you want, whatever, if you want to draw some deciduous trees, you can draw some circles in there too. All right, so I've got 4 trees. I'm not done yet. I'm not going to be done until there's 10 trees. But I want to explain some other parts of this, this project. So I've got these trees on the top layer. I want to see what types of things are growing on the tree other than leaves or pine or needles. So on these types of trees, I'm going to see pine cones, right? So I'm going to draw these little pine cones. I'm just going to do it with a circle. I'm going to see smaller, they're going to look smaller over here. Okay, so this is kind of like the fruit that grows from pine trees. And I don't know if you've ever seen or eaten like a pine nut, but they are delicious. And that's where you find them, is in the pine cones. Okay, so I've created my trees. I've created the fruit that grows on the top. Now what I want to see are different birds. And to draw a bird, you could actually just draw like the letter M or the letter V. And it looks like they're flying. Or if you just want to draw like a little bird sitting, you can just draw a circle with some feet, a head with a triangle for a beak. Okay, so I got my birds, I got my fruit, and then at the bottom I'm going to draw something that lives, something big that lives in this forest. And so what I think I will draw is actually a deer. So I'm just going to draw maybe just some shapes. And maybe it's got these really long, and it doesn't have to look exactly like a deer or whatever you choose to draw. I know it has a snout like that, but I'm going to draw my big animal. So maybe if you're drawing like a temperate forest, you're going to see something like a bear, deer, what else? What else is there? Elk, moose, different things like that. Or if you're doing a rainforest, you might see things like big cats, tigers, you might see lions, you might see different, well actually no, lions live more on the plains, but they might enter the forest. So different animals like that. So these are the 3 things that I want to see. And then the very last thing I want to see for it to be complete is I want to see a colored, I want to see it be colored. So I'm just going to color part of this and show you, what a good color job looks like. But I want you guys to do your best to color it on your own. And I cannot wait to see how these turn out. So I'm just going to actually, here is one of my trees. And I might actually just take my black crayon and outline these trees, because it might make it look a little bit more visible and fun, really. And I'll even draw these little branches that I see. Okay, see how much better that looks? I'm going to color in my pine cones. And I'm going to do my best color job. Okay, think about what colors these different things should be. So my tree is green, but the trunk is not going to be green, it's going to be brown. Let me find my brown. I know I had some a second ago. I'm going to color this the color that it really should be. Right? I'm going to color the sky, or if you've drawn so many trees that you can't see the sky, that is fine, because you see that in forests all the time. So I want to see the entire paper full of trees, and maybe see at least one big animal, lots of birds, and lots of fruit that grows on your tree. And stay tuned for the time lapse. You'll see me finishing this on time lapse if you need some ideas. But aside from that, I hope you guys have an awesome time drawing this, and I cannot wait to see what you come up with. Thanks, guys. I hope you have a good time.